More than 1,000 U.S. troops are on the U.S.-Mexico border preparing for the possible arrival of a migrant caravan. Our Ken Molestina spent his day embedded with those troops, and we're going to get to hear more from him tonight at 10. But just before he lost access to technology, he filed this report.
Well, you know, our original embed assignment with the troops took us to the Donna port of entry just outside of McAllen, but at the last hour, U.S. Army officials redirected us here to the Brownsville-Matamoros port of entry. This is about an hour away from Donna. Now, the significance behind all of this is that this is now the area where the troops have expanded their efforts into. They're going to be working here all day, and this is where we will be spending time embedded with the troops throughout the day today. There are engineering units that continue to set up concertina wire and other barriers in these parts. And this has now once again become a major spot of interest for both U.S. troops and immigration authorities. All of this is being done while they continue to keep a very watchful eye on the direction of the migrant caravan and where they are headed. Now, we do know that at least a portion of them will be trekking towards the Tijuana area in Southern California. But now with talks of new caravans merging and others in that group still wanting to head due north, officials here say they are not only staying put, but they are expanding here in the Rio Grande Valley. The current order for the troops down here keeps them in place here till about December 15th. There are 1,300 troops now spread out throughout the Rio Grande Valley. Of course, President Trump has said that he will deploy up to 15,000 troops if he feels that they are needed in this area. We're going to be spending the day with several of these troops out here in the Brownsville area, and we will have an updated report for you tonight at 10 o'clock right here on CBS 11. For now, we're in Brownsville. Ken Molestina, CBS 11 News.
And Ken remains embedded with the troops right now. Like he mentioned, we're going to get a full look at his day on the border tonight at 10, and you can continue to catch his reporting at the border through tomorrow right here on CBS 11.
Now, military troops are closing off some northbound lanes at the San Ysidro and the Otay Mesa ports of entry. This as they prepare for the migrant caravan to make its way to the U.S.-Mexico border. 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala is live for us in San Ysidro this morning. Mimi, these closures are worrying drivers. They could cause some real issues.
Yeah, that's something CBP is warning all drivers traveling northbound into the United States from Mexico is to expect extra wait times. 3 lanes have been blocked off on the opposite side of what you're looking at right now, according to CBP. And right now, if you look right down there, troops are down there working on putting together even more barricades, topping them off with razor wire.
People come across the border every day, so it's going to affect everyone. The first time that I see trucks and for them trying to make the safety barricades, you know, so that people that don't come across the U.S.
Francisco Navarrete lives in the U.S. but crosses into Mexico 2 or 3 times a week. This is the first time, though, he's seeing this. Military personnel coming into the area, securing and blocking off at least 3 northbound vehicle lanes at the San Ysidro port of entry and 1 in Otay Mesa. This is at the request of Customs and Border Protection, which asked for barricades, fencing, and razor wire to be installed as part of Operation Secure Line in preparation for the migrant caravan and potential safety and security risks that could come with it. Thousands of migrants are fleeing Central America, hoping to seek asylum here in the United States. About 85 people already broke away from the main group and are currently in Tijuana. They say they were facing discrimination for being members of the LGBTQ community. And in the last couple of hours, 10 News has actually learned a larger group of migrants is expected to show up in Tijuana sometime today. So right now, it is unclear when the lanes here will reopen, but CBP says it will provide updates when all the materials are removed and the lanes are no longer blocked. Of course, this is something we will continue to keep a close eye on and continue to keep you updated with as we learn more and see more here today. For now, we're live in San Ysidro. Mimi Alcala, 10 News.
Well, the migrant caravan is fake. You've been watching CNN, so you know that. Look at this graphic, quote, invasion, unquote, then the word myth on the screen. It's a myth, a pernicious one, too. Is it actually a myth? Well, filmmaker Ami Horowitz decided to find out himself. He went to Mexico looking for this fake caravan. He found a real caravan, and he filmed it. Here's part of what he found.
Despite the framing of the caravan as being full of women and children, the reality on the ground is quite different. Approximately 90 to 95% of the migrants were male. The major narrative being pushed by the press has been that the migrants are leaving Honduras because they're escaping extreme violence and that their lives are under constant threat, setting up the strategy that they would be able to enter the U.S. by asking for asylum. So I started by asking them a simple question. Why are you coming to America?
quieres irte a Estados Unidos?
Bueno, voy buscando una mejor vida económica.
Vine a trabajar allí a Estados Unidos. A ver si podemos trabajar allá porque en Honduras no hay trabajo.
There's a massive logistical effort underway, akin to moving an army, and is clearly costing someone millions of dollars for the transportation, food, water, medicine, and services that are being provided for the members of the caravan. The Mexican government also seems to be sending police to escort the dozens of buses and trucks that are ferrying the migrants and supplies along the route to the next destination. Ever present among the thousands of migrants are workers of Pueblos Sin Fronteras, clad in black t-shirts and colored vests. Pueblos Sin Fronteras means people without borders. They're the ones that seem to be most involved in organizing and mobilizing this caravan. The organization, as the name implies, is looking to create a world without borders, which seems to be one of the reasons why they organized this caravan in the first place, to flout American sovereignty. While it does seem as the majority of these migrants are friendly and simply trying to make a better life for themselves and their families, there's an undeniable element of the migrants who are violent and dangerous. And many of the migrants know this, and some have experienced it.
En el viaje hemos recibido agresiones verbales, físicas.
It seems to me that there are leftist organizations that are using these migrants as a tool to push a certain political agenda, which includes the weakening of American sovereignty and our border security. And unfortunately, these migrants are going to be caught in the crossfire.
Ami Horowitz joins us tonight. That was really interesting. The thing that jumped out at me was how, as you said, well organized it was. Do we have any sense who's paying for this? I know we're not allowed to speculate, but do we know that answer?
We don't. We know, what we do know is this whole thing cost millions and millions of dollars. And the mainstream media, and there's so many layers to this onion to peel back, it's hard to know where to begin. But one of the lies, the fake news, if you will, that the mainstream media is trying to propagate is the fact that this is all this weird, this organic thing, and all the water and the food and the medicine all dropped from manna from heaven. It's baloney. It's all highly organized. It's paid for by a number of organizations. We don't know exactly where the money is coming from. We do know that Pueblo Sin Frontera, which is the main group which is organized this caravan, has a couple of front organizations in the United States, and the money is flowing from them to Pueblos Sin Fronteras. We know there are some leftist groups. I know it's forbidden to say that Soros is part of it, but Soros has in fact funded at least some of those groups in the past. So we don't know where the money is exactly coming from. We know it's not coming from Honduras.
So why would, I mean, it's such an interesting and obvious question. Who's paying for this? Why haven't other news organizations gotten to the bottom of this? You're one man. You're doing this independently. Why isn't NBC News or ABC or PBS, why aren't they on this?
Oh, come on. You know the answer to that. They don't want to get to the bottom of it. They have no interest politically in getting to the bottom of it. It's the same reason why when you see a photo in the New York Times, the Washington Post, or a video in CNN or the BBC or MSNBC, what do you see? You see the entire framing are women and children, when the reality is so far from the truth. 90 to 95% of all the people who are in this caravan are men, although I do apologize for assuming their gender.
They're liars. That's the answer. That's why they're not reporting it in New York, because they are liars. I mean, thank you for that. That was valuable and really interesting. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Neighbor and hiding the body in a cooler is currently being held in ICE detention at the Clayton County Jail. Christian Ponce Martinez is charged with murdering 77-year-old Robert Page, who lived next door to him. Page's wife reported him missing last Thursday, and his body was found the next day. Martinez's status in the United States has not been released, but police say he moved to Clayton County from Mexico about 90 days ago.
A Valley man, Mexican national, to be executed tomorrow after killing his wife and 2 children, then burying them in his house back in 1992. Our Marlene Rodriguez has the grisly details.
Brenda, it's been almost 25 years since Robert Moreno Ramos murdered his family in Hidalgo County. His wife, Leticia Ramos, 7-year-old daughter, Abigail Ramos, and 3-year-old son, Jonathan Ramos, were all beaten with a blunt object and died of skull fractures. Their bodies were found more than a month later, buried beneath the bathroom floor of their home after Mrs. Ramos' sister reported them missing. Abigail's hands had been bound by tape and her mouth gagged prior to her death. Robert Ramos first told relatives that his family had died in an automobile accident but couldn't say where. Ramos married another woman 3 days after killing his family and moved her into the home where they were buried. According to the Houston Chronicle, he wasn't notified of his right to inform the Mexican consulate about his arrest and legal assistance from his country. His lawyers also argue that the jury never learned about his abusive childhood, brain dysfunction, bipolar disorder, and low IQ. Brenda?
Marlene, thank you. The Mexican consulate tells us they're unable to comment about these specific cases.
A man facing charges for allegedly using his truck to smuggle 4 people in the country illegally. 36-year-old Alfonso Galvan was pulled over for a traffic stop Sunday in West. Police found Galvan was paid to transport those 4 people. They also found $10,000 in cash. Galvan is facing smuggling and money laundering charges. The undocumented people were taken into ICE custody.